Now the next one. We want to find out what is the maximum element in a particular array. How do we find out what is the maximum element? First, let me just give you an example of 4 elements. This is my current array, okay? N value is how much? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just for your understanding, now I am going to keep it as 14 and 12. So that this 0, 1, 2 and that should not repeat, so that you should not get confused, that's why. So if this is the case, initially I don't know which is my maximum value. So what I'll do? I'll take a variable, max. I'm going to take max as a of 0. Okay, max is a of 0. And index will be equal to 0 initially. I can also write this as index. Okay, index is equal to 0, max is equal to a of index, which is nothing but a of 0. So currently at this point, what is max value? Max value is equal to a of 0. What is max? Which is equal to 10. I am going to compare this with the rest of the elements on the right hand side of that particular array. So if, what is the next index? First index. So first index, second index, third index, I am going on comparing and I am going to update the max value. I will show you how. So first what I need is, I will take a variable I is different, index is different. Index is right now 0, okay, before going into the loop. I will start with 1. When I is equal to 1, I am going to see what is a of I. What is a of I? A of I is a of 1. What is a of 1? A of 1 is 50. Now I will compare whether this 50 is greater than the existing max value. If this 50 is greater than this max value, max should be updated with 50, right? This max value should get updated to 50 because this is the max when you compare these two elements. So what I am going to do here, I am going to check a condition. What is the condition? If a of I is greater than the max value, is this true? If it is true, if true, which is true right now, what we are going to do, we are going to update. What we are going to update? Update max with a of I. What is I value? 1. What is a of I? 50. So max will become what? 50. At which index do you need this? That also if you need, what I will do, I will take index will be equal to I. Index will be equal to I. So initially we started with this, then we came to this formula, okay. Currently this condition is true, so this will happen. Max value will now become max of 1, sorry, a of 1. A of 1 is what right now? 50. And index is equal to I. What is I value? I value is 1. So this will be 1. This is the latest max and index that you have to refer. Forget about this. This is before going into the loop. Now the maximum value is 50. Index is equal to 1. Okay. Next. I will increment to 2. What is there in the second value? Second value we have 14. A of I is 14. Is 14 greater than, what is the current max? Current max is 50. Is this greater than 50? This is false. If it is false, we need not bother. We will go with the next iteration. Okay. The next iteration is what? I will be incremented to 3. What is there in the third index? 12. So here if I am going to do 12, then I am going to check whether 12 is greater than the current max value. What is max value? 50. This is false. Not true. Come out. Once you come out, I value will be equal to 4. 4 less than 4 is false, you will come out. See this, iteration started with 1, 2, 3. N value is how much? Total number of elements is 4. So, I started with 1, I less than N. These iterations will work. How to put this in the condition? So, I am going to put here for I equal to 1, I less than N, I plus plus. What did I do? I did if a of I is greater than max. If this condition is true, max is equal to a of I. Correct? I updated the value. Max equal to a of I. Index will be equal to I. Okay. Once you came out of this entire loop, look at the max value, 50. Is 50 the greatest element in this array? Yes. what we will write once you come out of the loop, you can write down C out max equal to max. Okay, at which index? C out index equal to index, because the index is what? 1. That means you found maximum element 50 at index 1. This is how you do max of a given element. Now imagine they are asking you minimum. Instead of max, they are asking you minimum. Okay, what you will do? Here, instead of max, you are going to take it as minimum. Okay. Now, instead of giving this condition, a of I is greater than max, I will give a of I is less than minimum. Okay. We'll check this. Currently index is equal to 0, minimum is equal to a of index. So, a of index is how much? 10. Okay, currently this is the case. Is 50 less than minimum? False, no? Because minimum is how much right now? Initially, before going to the loop, minimum I had assigned to a of index was 10. That is false. Next iteration. We are going to come to 14. Is 14 less than 10? False. Next, you will come to 12. Is 12 less than 10? False. When you come out, 4 less than 4 is false. When you come out, minimum is equal to 10. Index at which one? At 0. Here, imagine that instead of 14, I had 9. Instead of 14, I had 9. Imagine that. Now, what will happen to these conditions? You see, here, instead of 14, you would have what? 9. If 9, is it less than 10? Yes, true. If it is true, we have to change the minimum value. So, from now onwards, updation of minimum value is equal to a of I. What is a of I? A of I is 9. At which index? Index will become I. What is current I value? 2. At index 2, we got an element which is lesser than the current minimum. Next iteration, if it is 12, is 12 less than, what is updated minimum value? 9. Is 12 less than 9? False. Do nothing, come out. When it came out, minimum was equal to 9 in this one at index 2. Now this whole problem will remain same. Instead of a of I is less than max, you will give, greater than max, you will give a of I is less than minimum. Instead of max, you are going to make it as minimum. Instead of max, you are going to make it as minimum. Okay.